How deep is the SEC? I think at the top, there's not a deeper conference in the country. Big Ten has shown some serious blemishes with Penn State, with Michigan, with Oregon recently. So really, the USC is probably their next best bet, who seems like a really good contender. But at the top, there's not another conference who is as deep as the SEC. And I think through 2 weeks of football, it looks like Georgia and Texas are probably the two best teams in the conference. And right now, they're ranked as the two best teams in the country, which I think is pretty fair. Ohio State belongs in that conversation as well. But the SEC is very deep at the top. There are a few teams here, the ones listed on this screen, where I think all of them have a shot at competing for the SEC championship. Now, there's going to have a lot of luck go their way with teams not named Georgia and Texas. But they all do have a shot because Georgia's schedule is really, really tough. Ole Miss schedule is easy. Missouri's schedule is easy. So they could benefit here. So I think the SEC is by far the deepest conference at the top. And then, like, also, where do you put Oklahoma and LSU? I don't think they belong in the conversation as these teams, but they also don't belong in the conversations like with Vanderbilt and Kentucky and Arkansas and South Carolina. Maybe South Carolina is better than we thought, actually. But so they're like actually next tier below. And like those two teams, Oklahoma and LSU, they're going to be good against any other conference. So I think the SEC, not news to anybody, but probably the deepest conference, especially at the top. It's probably the only conference where I can see like 4 or 5 teams winning this thing and also being a contender for the Natty. Like the Big 12, there's about 8 teams that could win the Big 12, but I don't think any of them have a real shot at winning the Natty. Like the teams listed here, Bama, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, like these teams have a real shot that they can compete for a national championship. And you know what? Like going into the season, people were talking about, oh, how many teams are the SEC going to get into the playoff? And the number 5 has been thrown out a lot. And through 2 weeks of football, I'm switching my stance. I thought 5 was gonna be crazy. That seemed like too many. They might get 5 in. The SEC, I think, is that deep at the top where they might be able to put 5 teams here. So there's a lot of football left to be played and a lot of season, but I think that they could swing 5. Follow Big Body Ball CFB on all socials.